So I heard you want to interview the nerd side. Let's get nerdy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to BroaderMinds. I am here today with WyldFyre1, the founder of
There's the New Sexy Podcast.
We're finally here. It's been a long time. I've actually reached out to you about this interview, and thank you for being here today, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, absolutely, man. And the reason why I wanted you to come on, man, is because I actually got an opportunity to listen to your podcast one day, and there were a lot of cool things, a lot of cool things about your podcast that I felt that we need to touch up on, over here at BroaderMinds, because obviously that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who are doing positive things, and the way that you bring positivity to this world is you connect people, you unite people through your podcast, through gaming. Because that's what you guys talk about. You guys talk about gaming. You guys talk about a variety of things. So essentially, that is amazing, and that is the reason why we wanted you to come on. And I'm glad that you're here finally. And so I'm going to ask you first.
It's been a process.
Yeah.
Getting here.
No, absolutely. Yeah. We want to thank our friend Anthony for that. So
yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. And so essentially, I'm going to ask you, how did you come up with the name, and why did you start your podcast?
It basically goes back to a girl I was dating. Pretty much, I was told, one of the things I tell women before I date them, I'm like, hey, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
I'm a big nerd. That's a big part of who I am. Well, her response to that was, oh, nerd is the new sexy. And I go, it hit me like, what the hell? That's kind of catchy,
Absolutely.
And I always kept it in the back of my mind. So, and for years, I wanted to do kind of like a little show or podcast or something.
Yeah.
I had a little more broader spectrum in mind, more than just a podcast at one point. But I money and stuff like that kind of makes you dumb stuff down. Money is a bitch, and it's
you got to you definitely got to invest in your podcast or
there's investments. There's so many investments.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you just got to put money into it. Well, finally, I decided, I'm going to start out with just wearing a little rinky-dink mic and with my friends, which, by the way, shout out to Sunrise and Gambit. You guys make the magic happen too. Thanks a lot. But that's pretty much where the story came from. Where the story for the background of where the name came from. It just basically started the podcast and went from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the name. It's very catchy. And extremely, one of the things is what I gravitated towards when I listened to your podcast for the first time is that you guys, like I said, you guys talk about a variety of things, but I was gravitated because I grew up playing PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So when you guys talked about that, it brought back a lot of my childhood memories. And obviously, then at the time, also too, you guys talked about Final Fantasy VII. That is actually one of the games you guys even believe that it really expanded or just it just put everything to light, RPG games. And
Final Fantasy VII was a stepping stone for people, especially for people who liked RPGs.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like RPGs at that time, and they see Final Fantasy VII, and it came out big. It was one of Squaresoft's big projects, and it came out, and a lot of people played it, and the story was so amazing, and a lot of people just kind of just fell in love with it. And you,
I fell in love with that. Even to this day, I still play it. I have it on all my consoles, so. And PlayStation is my favorite console.
Mine too. At first it was Nintendo, and then Nintendo kind of went different directions. But I still like Nintendo. They just came out with the Switch, and we'll see where that goes.
Looking forward to that, man.
I'm hoping.
So yeah, man. I'm extremely happy for what you do, man. And one thing is, I'm going to ask you, how do you define nerdism? Or what is a nerd? Because I've heard you say terms of nerd culture. I've heard you say terms of that, and then I've heard you say baby nerd.
Oh, yeah.
So I really want you to talk about that. That way our viewers will understand that when they listen to your podcast for the first time, what you guys are talking about and stuff like that.
Well, episode 1 really explains a lot of the introduction.
Yeah,
it really explains a lot of what we feel a nerd is, and how people are some people are just jumping on the bandwagon just to jump on it, and some people are whatever. But my definition of a nerd, especially nowadays, is the extreme love for something.
Yeah.
It's if you have a passion about something, say if you like movies, if you're a big movie buff, and you can recite Rocky from Rocky the movie, the boxing movie, from beginning to end, then you got a little nerd in you. There's a little bit of that in you, and if you like video games, and if you like tech stuff. If you like collecting things that make sound and light, and you know how they work in some instances, you got a little nerd in you. There's a little bit of nerd in there, and I think that everyone for the longest time denied that. They denied they wore masks. They're like, oh, you know what? I'm not a nerd, because at one point, being a nerd was an outcast. It was being you were looked down upon. You were shunned. You were pushed out. You know, like the old Revenge of the Nerd movies, which I always tend to go back to.
Yeah.
You know, nerd. They beat up on them and give them swirlies and stuff. But it's not like that no more. The world is different. The world has changed, and in this part, it's for the better.
Absolutely, and I like that. I'm so happy that the nerd culture has evolved so much. Now it's being accepted, and you look at things like Comic-Con is extremely huge in the United States. It's all over all the major cities, and I'm extremely happy, man. I mean, cause like at the end of the day, I think we all have that nerd connection.
Oh, we do.
We all that common, we have common cause, and everything. So I'm extremely happy. I'm gonna ask you one more thing. Is where can our audience find you at right now? Where can they listen to you?
Well, there's two general places you can find us. One, and we started out on a little website, and I say little, it wasn't little, it's a huge website actually. It's called newgrounds.com. It hosts Flash animations, it hosts audio.
Yeah.
Really big for that. We're actually getting most of our listens off that for the moment, but someone talked me into using because I had a YouTube account that I had never really used. I just used it for the original concept of of what the podcast was going to be. But someone talked me into doing it, and so now we're on YouTube as well. And I've uploaded maybe 15 videos so far, 16 counting part B of 15. So we've got that, but 15 out of 50, I still got a long way to go.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. No, and I like the fact that, with your videos, man, I really like the fact that now that you're on YouTube, obviously, we're able to see your creativity, your creativity side with your intros. And they're really fun, man. I saw the intro, obviously, your Nerd and Sexy podcast intro. But now we're seeing, like, you're doing stuff with, like, Rocky. You did, obviously you did that episode with Rocky. You talked about Rocky, the Ninja Turtles, and then Twilight. Twilight was amazing. Star Wars, your intro for Star Wars.
It means Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone. Hey,
Not Twilight.
Dude, that was, I'm not gonna lie, bro. That was an amazing podcast. Dude, it's so true, bro. You guys talked about our common fears, that's something for the listener, but what I'm trying to just say essentially is he is extremely creative. He has a great podcast, great cause. He's doing it. It's extremely positive, and I'm so glad that you're here, brother, because I want to spread this out. I want to help you out, and that's what we're doing here at BroaderMinds. Is we're getting into everything, every genre. We're not just going to do one thing. We're just going to do everything. We want to help out. We want to spread positivity, because our world is extremely negative right now at this point, and so yeah, that's what we're doing, and I'm glad for coming on, and
I'm glad you got me here.
Oh,
man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. So thank you, and BroaderMinds.
Stay sexy.